Hello and welcome. We're going to start today with audio recording, and I wanted to get you thinking about a project. Your project is going to involve answering a question and speaking that answer into a microphone. So we're going to start with the question. The first piece that's up on my page this time around is 4 questions. Choose one that you want to answer in writing. So the first question is, who is your hero and why? The second question, what are your plans for the future? Third one, if you were to explain Earth to an extraterrestrial visitor, what would you say? And the last one, if you could spend a day with one famous person, either present or historical, who would it be and what would you do? What I'd like you to do with that is I'd like you to open up a Word document, just a regular old Word document, and that's right here if you can't find it, and answer the question. So I'm going to say, if I were to spend a day with a famous person, right? I need to put the space there. What I'm getting at, and I'm not going to type the whole thing in front of you live. In fact, I'm going to use a different answer in a minute, is there's a word count right down here. And right down here in the corner, and I made that screen smaller so you can see the word count on this video. It says it's 11 words. You need to have 100 words. 100 words is something that happens pretty quickly and easily. In fact, I've already written myself a quick 100-word script. It explains Earth to people from another planet. And that one is 105 words. It's not very long, just a few sentences, and it's going to be the script I use when I speak into the microphone. Now, this is Adobe Audition. If you can't find Adobe Audition, scroll down here and find the AU. It's kind of a greenish teal, and open that up. You've got your microphone plugged in. Hopefully it's the microphone attached to your headphones, and hopefully it's working. If it's not working, if you're seeing that it's not functioning correctly, let me know. I got to be honest with you, about half the time that's the case, and it requires a little bit of finesse because everyone seems to be different than the one before. So I can't say there's a blanket statement on how to fix it. What you're going to do, though, is go to File, New, and go to Audio File. And you're going to name this. So this is going to be called, this one's going to be about if aliens came to Earth, right? Aliens. I call it aliens. And I'm going to say OK. And it's going to open up a new multi-track file. Come on. There it goes. Didn't do it right because I closed it the wrong way. What you'll do is you'll hit the record button and you'll speak into the microphone. You'll say the things that are on your script. Easiest way to do that is to not minimize, but bring down the size of this screen and push it to half screen. Just drag it over and let it snap, and then put your script over on the other half. That way, when you hit the record button, you can read right from here as it's recording there. You click right here. Greetings, aliens, and welcome to Earth. You get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to a fully recorded one where I've got a few mistakes. If you make a mistake, by the way, all you have to do is highlight the mistake and either hit backspace or delete on your keyboard, or you can highlight the mistake and right click and hit delete right here. Delete, boom. So that's a neat little thing you can do, or you can just double click and delete the whole thing. But I'm going to pull up something where I've got it done already. So my recording is done now. I went ahead and recorded the whole thing, and I deliberately made a few mistakes so you could see what happens when you make mistakes. For starters, this right here, this blue thing with the red that comes down is called the current time indicator. And when I move it back and forth, that's called scrubbing. So I'm going to scrub forward. And I'm going to scrub backwards. You can scrub to the spot where you know you made a mistake. Right here, I think I cleared my throat, didn't I? Yes, I did. So let me highlight that piece. And actually, at this point, I'm going to bring this up nice and big so I can see it. Highlight the thing I made a mistake on and delete it, backspace. So I scrub through and I'm going to hit play. And by the way, play is right here and stop is right there. But if you want a shortcut, you can use the space bar on your keyboard. Greetings, aliens, and welcome to Earth. Also, if you'd like to zoom in or out, you can hit the plus and the minus key on your keyboard. Notice what happens up here as I hit plus and minus, zooming in and showing me the full file versus my piece that I'm on. So I'm going to go ahead and play this back and find my second mistake because I know I made 2. This planet is inhabited. Inhabited? This planet is inhabited by many different forms of plant and animal life. So this is obviously a mistake. I highlight that, and I can either hit delete or backspace or delete it here or cut it. Any old way you wanted to get it out of there, you sure can. I happen to know, and I've listened to it through already when I was off screen with you guys, that this is now what I want it to be. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to put this, browse it to my folder. This is my server folder. If you're at the point in the year where your server folder is starting to get pretty full, and that's happening to a lot of people, I also have a flash drive plugged into the back of your computer. That flash drive is one that I leave there all year long. I brought 30 flash drives and stuck them into 30 computers. You can make yourself a folder inside that flash drive, and you can save things inside your folder. Just don't mess with anybody else's folder, and it should work just fine. Make sure, though, you save it in a place that you know, and click OK, and it'll save. The next step is to open up the song you want to mix it with. So if you don't know what song you want to mix it with, then decide that first, and we'll talk about how we can get that music to you separately. But I'll go ahead and open up the song. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Open. And I've got my song right here. It's called Song. And it's just a little ukulele song. It's very happy sounding. Very happy. So now I have Aliens and I have Song. I've got a bunch of stuff open in this window, but aliens.wave is my file and song.mp3 is the other thing. Up here at the top where it says Waveform, that's where I am. I'm going to click on something called Multitrack. Waveform just gives me a left and right stereo channel of one file. Multitrack actually gives me, and I'm going to call this mixed file. When I say OK to that, I already called something mixed file. Anyway, if I say OK to that, it gives me several tracks I can record it. And track 1, 2, 3, 4, I can get a lot of different tracks in there. What that means is I can put my voice file in track 1 or track 2, and I can put my song in the other one. So here's my voice file, aliens.wave, dragged it and dropped it. Here's my song, dragged it and dropped it. It's telling me my files are made of different stuff, basically, and I'm just going to say, okay, you're smart, you figure it out. And it's going to convert it to the right file format. Zooming out, which I can do here also, I can just pull this edge, or I can hit the plus and minus keys. I see that my song is 5 minutes long. And I see that my voice file is like between 30 and 40 seconds long. So what I'd like to do is grab the edge of this song, and I think I can scroll that in. Let me zoom this so you can see it better. I'm going to grab the edge of this song, and you see the red bracket that appears there. I'm going to drag it backwards so that my song doesn't last so long. That way when I zoom in, I'm looking at what I need to look at. Next, I'm going to play my music. Greetings, aliens, and welcome to Earth. And now I can see that my music is too loud and my voice is too quiet. So let me look at the master volume of my music. This yellow line that stretches through here is the master volume. I pull the whole thing down, it gets quieter. What I want you to do, though, is I want you to have the music start loud and get quieter, kind of dip volume. And then I want you to have it get louder after the voiceover is finished. So right here is where I start talking. I can see that. And looking at my master volume, I'm going to have myself be heard over the song. So I'm going to click on this master volume bar. And when I do, it creates this little tiny blue dot. And it's really hard to see. You can see it if I move my current time indicator. That is called a keyframe. And if I make a second keyframe, then I can pull that down and it makes kind of a dip for me. So listening to it, see what it does. Greetings, aliens, and welcome to Earth. If it's not quite quiet enough, you can bring it down some more. Greetings, aliens, and welcome to Earth. This planet is inhabited by many different forms of plant and animal life. Right? And when I get to the end, I'm talking about people going to different kinds of churches, right? Temples or other houses of worship. I'd like my music to get louder again. So I'm going to make 2 more keyframes just by clicking and making a dot and clicking and making another dot and pulling that second piece up. It gets louder again. So here's I'm talking about churches. Churches, mosques, temples, or other houses of worship. Now at the end of the song, since I've cut it off, it's going to cut off rather abruptly. It's not going to sound real good. And I can do the same technique to fade it out at the end, but instead of that, I thought I'd show you something kind of cool. This little box right here with the diagonal line in the center, it's called the fade out tool. And the fade out tool, if I just click and drag it, will pull a nice little fade for me. You don't see the fade in the product, but you listen to it and you go, it sounds much better. So that is almost perfect. That is nearing perfection. That right there would get you almost all 100 points that you're supposed to get. The last few points are saving it the correct way. So we're going to save it twice. I'm going to go to File and I'm going to go to Save As. And when I do that, it's actually calling it a session. SESX is sort of the name for the session that you're in. It's going to save the different tracks so that you don't lose one of the tracks. And you can adjust it later. So if you wanted to keep editing it, then you save it as a session. And that's great. You're going to browse and make sure it goes to the right spot. And again, you can use your folder. If you ran out of room in your folder, you can use that flash drive. I'm going to use the flash drive. What the heck? Go ahead and say save, and it'll save that there, and that'll take a minute. And after you do that, you'll go to File, and you're going to export it out into a usable file type, like an MP3, like a WAV file. If you go to Export, Multi-Track Mixdown, and tell it you want the entire session, it turns those two things into one thing. So I get the entire session. I'm going to browse on that too. I'm going to say to call it whatever I'm going to call it. I'm calling this mixed file mixdown. And right here, it's giving you options for file types. MP3 is one of the world's most common audio file types. WAV is pretty darn common too. Some of these other ones are a little less common. WMA I've heard of a lot of times. Monkey's Audio, very strange, haven't heard of that. AIFF, kind of rare, but I've heard of it. You know, and some of them are just strange. 3GP is kind of a newer thing. OGG, use something you know, like MP3. Use something you've understood and seen before. And save it that way. Make sure you browse, though, and click OK, and that's it. You should have it done. So you should have your audio recording with all the mistakes corrected, blended with the song, with the volume dipping down while you're talking and coming back up and fading out at the end, saved as an MP3 or a WAV file to your folder, and that's 100. So hopefully you get that done this week.